YouTube. All right, YouTube looks good. Let's make that so it's actually readable. Yo, 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 everybody. Goofy the cat, you actually weren't first. Yeah, sorry. K beat you. How's my day going? Well, it's 11 in the morning, so 11:11. Make a wish, everybody. Nothing to complain about yet. We'll see what kind of shenanigans and how much trouble we can get into today. Hopefully, lots. We can only hope. Yes, that is. We can only hope. Oh, so far, no. This is like fishing, you know? I got my, on YouTube, you guys can't see it, but I have my prompt up here. Earth is not flat. Creationism is stupid. Evolution is true. Big Bang is true. So I'm casting, but you don't often get. Some days when you go fishing, there's just a lot of sitting there doing nothing. Oh, no way. Creationism is spelled wrong. Can I change that while the stream is going? Yes, I can. That's so funny. It says creation sim. Creationism is dumb. There we go. Okay. It'll be fixed now. I don't think anybody's ever pointed that out before. That's hilarious. Some days you get no bites at all. That's true of fishing, and it's true here as well. Definitely not going to get any bites if there's only 14 people watching. What the hell's up with that? TikTok is just so unbearably unpredictable. It's a holiday weekend. Yeah, but, you know, stupid people don't take holidays. The description of the stream is great. Oh, yeah, your mom. Yeah, that's pretty much what I always write because I don't know what to say. Is Big Bang model being updated due to James Webb? It would be really unsurprising if it didn't have some updates. I'm not really sure. I mean, what's definitely being updated are things like, what do you call it? Like the rate of star and galaxy formation has been updated. That's not really an update to the Big Bang, though. Hey, look at that. We're up to 24 viewers on TikTok. Hell yeah. Just breaking records. Oh, I actually do have a guest. Hopefully they weren't waiting very long. I have 3 screens, so I need to pay attention to that screen over there. Justin, what's up? All right. Well, that's 1 victory for science and 0 points for not science. Bro, I watched your video where you butchered Nietzsche. Why do you do that? I don't have any videos where I really talk about Nietzsche at all. I do have a video where Nietzsche's in the thumbnail, but that was the guest talking about how evolution leads to nihilism, and he brought up Nietzsche. But I don't actually know what you're talking about, David. Sorry. But anyways, yeah, the score. Maybe I should put that up there. Maybe I should add something. I can keep score. Add a text. Where is it? All right, there we go. So here's the score so far. Science 1, others 0. We'll modify that slightly to make it more readable. There we go. That's what we're at so far. Hello from the Netherlands. Oh, okay. What is your honest opinion on no tanks? I have no idea what that even means. Saying no tanks instead of no thanks? A world where tanks don't exist anymore? I don't know. They are the best guitars ever. They're saying it's... Wait, what? Punk Apostate, you didn't say anything about guitars before that, so I don't know what you're... Oh, I have a 2003 SG Standard. It sounds incredible. I had an SG for a while. Well, not for very long, and then I sold it. I downsized my guitar collection. I haven't told anybody that. I went from 7 guitars to 3. We can't see the numbers in the score, though. What? Oh, what the heck? Why does it do that? So what I can see here on the desktop app is cropped differently than what it actually shows up on the mobile phone. Nope, I gotta move that. I'm gonna have to change the size of my screen here too, actually. Thank you for pointing that out. Yeah, there we go. Here, YouTube, that's what it looks like on TikTok. Huh, that's weird. Thank you. The old carbonated water joke. Yep. Oh, did I spell debating wrong on the YouTube stream too? I was typing so fast. If I did that, that's really funny. This keyboard is also... I do almost all my work on my Mac, So I'm on my Mac way more often, and my Mac keyboard has really thin, flat buttons. And whenever I go onto my PC, it's got the chunkier keyboard. I feel like I can't type. No, it says debating. I think they're talking. I did do that one time, so that's probably what they're referring to. I did get it very wrong. Yeah, Edgar, that's not going to happen. The bottom one looks like an Epiphone. It is an Epiphone. I got to debate your parents. Well, if you can get them to figure out how to download TikTok and then come up here and chat, then I'd be happy to. I was co-hosting with Justin yesterday, and it was really funny. This guy came up and he said, "Yeah, my dad said I should come up here and debate you. My dad's agnostic, but I'm a Christian." I thought that was pretty funny. Thank you, Derek, over on YouTube. Thank you very much. Do 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 do. Logic exists, therefore Spanky exists. That is the transcendental argument for Spanky. Did anybody see the last G-Man video about Justin? Nope, I definitely haven't. Can I go 30 days without debating? Well, I can't afford to. It's how I pay my mortgage, so. Well, Amoeba, welcome to the TikTok show. I'm sorry that it's boring at the moment. Oh, it's Earth Guy. Hey, Earth Guy. Just waiting on the ops. Somebody's got to be brave, right? Like I know you guys are wrong, but that doesn't mean you have to also be a coward, right? How about we debate is cereal soup? Well, rodent, no last name. I tried to read that as like I thought it was a foreign word like nalastama or something. I was like, is that Spanish or something? But it's just no last name, all one word. Yeah, I don't know if they're afraid of me or not, but what's crazy is, um, it's like with Justin, for example. Um, my my TikTok account has way more, followers than his does, but he doesn't really upload content. He just kind of does the live streams. But his live streams get huge numbers, and he's such an encyclopedia, and he's so good at what he does that and Blitz too. Blitz, his account is bigger than mine, and I don't watch his streams, so I don't know how big they are, but he's like, Justin's an encyclopedia on biblical stuff. Blitz literally has a PhD in science, a very difficult science. And they get like they can never run out of guests. They actually have a problem where they never get to anybody. And I'm like, but wait a minute. I'm a severely underqualified science teacher. Why aren't people going after me? So like, I'm envious, but in a weird sense. I feel like my envy is actually justified because it's like, aren't I the low-hanging fruit? Aren't I? I don't know. Like, I'm a soft target. Those guys, not so much. Christoph Waltz? I have no clue who that is. A hot dog is a sandwich? Well, I don't know. He skipped my comment, womp. I mean, I don't read everything. He skipped my comment. London plants. What did London plants say? I'm literally scrolling up and I don't see a single comment that you made. So, I don't know. McChicken is a sandwich? Hell yeah, it is. Define sandwich. Oh no. Do I have a pedal board? No, I have a solid state amp that has all that crap built into it. What is the definition of a sandwich? All right, well, since we have nothing else to do, here we go, everybody. What is a sandwich? A sandwich, nobody can read that. An item of food consisting of two pieces of bread with meat, cheese, or other filling between them, eaten as a light meal. So, would a folded wait, what? Your live is not eligible for recommendation and restricted in search results because it contains unoriginal or reproduced content. This is in line with the For You feed eligibility settings. You guys probably can't see that, but I just got that notification. So anyways, I would love to talk about sandwiches some more, but I actually do have somebody that wants to join. Yeah, what the hell? I got a notification that said my live stream is no longer eligible for recommendation because it's unoriginal. Oh yeah, now you guys can see that in the chat on YouTube. You can. It contains or reproduced because I googled what is a sandwich? Like what the hell? Anyways, Landon, is it London or Landon? Landon, what's up? Landon.
How's it going, man?
Well, I mean, I don't know. That notification I got just kind of threw a wrench in everything, but I'll probably live.
Well, good luck. I'm not sure what that means.
Me neither, really.
Well, I will say I've seen your videos and some lives before, and I agree with you on everything that you say. When it comes to evolution and religion and all that stuff. But I have a question, and this might not be, you might not take these kind of questions, but do you think that veganism is an ethical choice, the more ethical choice over animal exploitation?
This keeps happening. Do I think is a more ethical choice than non? I don't see any like logical problems with veganism. It sounds like a noble cause. But I don't think that I'm a hypocrite for not being vegan.
Why not?
because it's just a personal choice. I don't really care. The same way that I I don't want to have a debate on this because I just had this debate last time I did the stream. I'm like we can spend a few minutes on it. That's fine. I'm not
Yeah.
like kicking you out or anything. But um if the whole world was vegan, if we had 8 billion vegans on the planet, then it would be completely unavoidable to not kill trillions upon trillions upon trillions of animals because you cannot grow food at an industrial scale without doing that. The vegan seems to think, well, insects and animals that live in the ground don't care. It's sort of like the
No,
name
not
that.
at all. I can talk on that if you're cool with that.
So, would feeding 8 billion humans require killing trillions of animals?
Uh, yes.
Why is that okay?
So not necessarily trillions, but so right now
Probably
we
more
are
than that, actually.
well, so we breed 92 billion land animals a year.
Yep.
And so there's 8 billion of us. We're breeding 92 billion. And guess what they eat? They eat plants. So if we
Most of
were,
most of the plants we grow we feed to cows. Yeah, I know.
yeah, so if we were to take out the middleman of animals, we would have to grow less plants because it would go directly to us.
Yeah, that's true. But
So
you'd still be
it,
killing trillions of animals.
yeah, the point of veganism is not to like we're humans. We have to survive. We don't live in a
Yep.
in a vegan world right now. So there
Hmm.
is the point of veganism is to lessen the exploitation of animals as much as practically possible.
I 100% am on board with that. The problem I have is when a vegan says there's no such thing as, like, let's say you're not a true vegan, but like a vegetarian. A vegan says, no, being or some of them at least say that, no, being a vegetarian is still morally wrong. It's only if you are a vegan, and that is the only good that there is. And like the idea that if you just be more vegan, that doesn't count, to me is just a rampant hypocrisy, because if the reason for, even if you're vegetarian but not vegan, that it's wrong is because of animal suffering that does not need to occur, well, if the whole world is vegan, we're still going to end up killing trillions of animals to feed everybody.
Yeah. So there's a couple things there. With it, it sounds like you're annoyed with the way vegans think and talk about veganism. If you as a person, like I said before, like I've heard you talk before, and you seem like a very like you know logical and even compassionate person. If your compassion, like it's about you, it's about the individual. If
Hmm.
your compassion outweighs your want to participate in the exploitation of animals, you should like look into that and dive into what we're actually doing and try as hard as you can to lessen that exploitation. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I don't disagree. I mean, that just has nothing to do with what I said, but
Well, yeah, but it sounds like the reason that you don't like veganism is because how some vegans act, and
no,
that I
it's
mean,
I'm not. I don't even have a. I'm like, I'm not one of those people that goes around saying PETA is a terrorist organization and that vegans are like let's make fun. Like I heard once, I don't know if this is true, but there was this story going around that the vegan teacher, I don't know if you know that account,
yeah,
that
I
she
know.
died and people were like celebrating. I was like, what the fuck is wrong with everybody?
Yeah,
I don't know what the hell's going on. That's I just, when they pretend that they're the only moral ones, when their position literally requires them to arbitrarily divide a line saying, well, I'm okay with killing these types of animals in trillions of numbers for us to
yeah,
exist. It's kind of like they do the name the trait thing, you know, against, people like me and it's fine. They kind of win that, most of the time, if not every time, because I don't know how to arbitrarily divide that line except based on personal preference or like an emotional reasoning, which would be like what do they call that? Um, Something emotivism. I can't remember what it's called, but like for the vegan, what's the trait? It seems like killing insects and animals that live in the ground in order for us to farm enough food to kill billions of people. Those animals are expendable, and it's just like,
Well,
I mean,
no,
okay.
so it's definitely not okay. I don't any vegan that has that mindset of trying to lessen exploitation as much as possible. It's not that it's okay. We know that we live in a non-vegan society, and these farmers, they're not vegan farmers. They're not growing vegan food. They're growing plants to feed, other animals and some humans.
I, I'm not.
And
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the hype.
well,
If the entire world was vegan, we'd still
uh,
have to kill trillions of
yes,
animals.
yes, yes.
And the
But
rationale seems to be it's fine to kill
no, no,
as many
but it's not
insects
though.
as we
That's
need
not
to
what.
for us to live. But we could literally choose for there to be fewer humans. And
Well,
so
what I'm
then
saying
we
is, if
would
we,
be minimizing animal suffering.
yeah, I hear what you're saying. What I'm saying is, if we lived in an actual vegan society, we would find the reason why all these animals are being unalived is because they are like no, the farmers are not considering them. If the farmers were, and we actually cared, they would find a way to not let that happen. But the sole purpose of growing plants is not to unalive animals, but the sole purpose of breeding animals for unaliving them for food is that's the point. That is the sole purpose. Well, it's money, but it's also like you can't grow animals and feed them to people without unaliving them.
Sure. So it's kind of about the intent. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's part of it. But again, I think if people had a vegan mentality, they would try their hardest to not involve, insects and animals. Right now, it's unavoidable because that's how things were done, and no one's trying to change that
Yeah.
in that industry.
Um, Yeah, and I agree, but you kind of keep like I'm trying to give you a hypothetical and you keep reverting back to the real world on it,
Uh,
which is my hypothetical is that the entire world is vegan. And even
mhm.
in that world, in order to grow enough food to feed 8 billion humans, you can't not kill
Well,
trillions of animals.
my argument is that we would kill less, sorry, unalive less insects and just any kind of crop
Mhm.
deaths. I think it would be less if we were to cut out the middleman, which is the 92 billion land animals. When
Yeah.
it comes to marine life, it's in the trillions. So yeah,
Yeah.
I
And
think it would be less.
Yeah, and I agree with that. But what about so do you think a world where everybody is vegetarian but not vegan would still be a morally wrong world?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah,
But
I can
in a world that's
explain that.
vegetarian, the number of animals that are killed is dramatically less
Well,
than the world of today. And like to say it's not okay if you go that far, it's only okay if you go as far as veganism is just this is to me where it's like I don't get why there can't be like a continuum or a spectrum of if everybody ate only meat, that would be the worst kind of animal exploitation. There's no such thing as less animal exploitation and less animal suffering is working our way toward good. It's just all bad, all bad, all bad. Maybe some of it is less bad than other bad, but we're not calling it better. We're calling it less bad. And then only the vegan world is the possible good world. I just think that that's
yeah,
completely unfair and illogical.
I hear what you're saying, but you saying vegetarian, you're associate like that includes dairy, which I don't know if you're familiar with the dairy industry. It is a very it's arguably worse than the meat industry. Like terrible things are happening daily to these animals because they don't get unalived for a very long time, and what happens to them is not good. So, and then they end up being unalived in the end because they stop producing milk. So they have to,
Yeah,
they end up
but
getting
it's
sold and then unalived.
but it would be
Or,
vastly less animal exploitation than a world where everybody just has
yeah,
carnivore diets.
yeah, no, I agree with that, but that doesn't, like, again, you can't do a wrong thing right. So, like, I think it is completely wrong to exploit an animal for their breast milk when you don't have to do it, because we can literally thrive on a plant-based diet. So why, exploit that animal when
But
you don't
why
have to do it?
but why is it okay again, even if the entire I said I didn't want to do this for too long and here we are.
Yeah.
But why would it be okay in an entirely vegan world to do the kind of industrial agriculture where you have to use large harvesting machines? And so, like, if everybody just went out, if everybody was just a subsistence farmer, you could go in your backyard garden and shoo away the bugs and just pick berries and whatever,
Mhm.
then unquestionably, then you could, in a sort of sense, have control over the amount of animal death that's happening. But with 8 billion humans, you simply can't do that. The
Yeah.
farming that you have to do would inevitably, your combine would kill pheasants, and thrashers would occasionally kill deer because you just can't see them. And then the amount of bugs and everything that would be. So if the I kind of forgot where I was going with this, but I don't understand really how in a vegan world,
Mhm.
that we know that if we are going to try to feed 8 billion humans, that would happen. But the only other option, we can choose otherwise, but the only other option would be, I don't think 8 billion humans can exist in that world. It just simply isn't possible. We couldn't have a complex society like we have, and I don't think we could produce enough food to feed 8 billion human
I
beings.
think we
Our
could because
numbers
we're
would be
already doing it.
drastically lower.
We're already doing it. We're feeding 92 billion animals with the plants that we're growing. So, I mean, 8 billion compared to 92 billion, I think we've proven that we can feed a lot of beings with crops. But back to your if the world went completely vegan with this hypothetical,
Yeah, you could.
if the world
If the
went
whole
vegan,
world was vegan, there would still be ways we could
yes, yes.
choose to involve less animal death, but it would have to be antinatalist.
Well, what I'm saying is, if we were an absolutely vegan world, we would find ways to lessen the unaliving of animals as much as we could. So
Then why
it's
not
still,
eradicate the world of humans?
that's a like so I'm vegan is not just for animals, it's for humans as well. I don't want to exploit any sentient being whatsoever. So, um, yeah, I mean that's a great question, but I would not lean towards that because again, I don't want to be unaliving anything.
But it would accomplish the well. I don't mean I don't mean like nuke the world. I mean, just why don't we just literally choose to reproduce at a rate that causes our population to crash? That way,
That
nobody
sounds
is
amazing.
killing anybody. Yeah,
That sounds
that's total
amazing.
antinatalism. But that would reduce animal suffering to the highest degree. And again, if that's the point, then why not do that?
Well, no one's going to do that because I mean, people have the instinct to reproduce. I mean, that's not going to. No one would get away with doing that. But so in reality, is that if you have the compassion that outweighs your want to support an industry that's exploiting, trillions of animals, you can make the decision to not participate in it. And that's the main thing that I try to bring to people. It's not like if the world went vegan, it's like it's about you, how you feel about it. Do your actions line up with your values? You know what I'm saying?
Sure. I mean, what if somebody said, "I don't value human life, therefore I'm not a hypocrite"?
I mean, yeah. So that's the person. And
Okay.
so I'm asking if your values line up with your actions. some people they do. It's like, yeah, I don't give a shit about anything, and like, fuck everything, like that.
Yeah, that is some people. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's terrible. But I can't change a person's mind. I can only give them information, and if they come to the conclusion my values don't line up with my actions, and I want them to, they can make a decision to change.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
yeah. But anyways, I know you said you didn't want to talk about this too long. I appreciate you talking with me for as long as you did.
Yeah, no problem.
Right on. Well, I'll drop down. I'll let you bring someone else up that doesn't want to talk about veganism.
Sounds good. Thanks.
Yeah, for sure, man.
We did 17 and a half minutes. So I mean, that was totally fine, but I don't have any other guests waiting, so I don't think that was going to go any farther because I just kept saying the same thing over and over again. So, I mean, I don't think there's really much point in staying on that, but it was a nice conversation. It's only possible for a human being to physically have chemical compassion for about 150 people. We need something more objective guide our decisions. Compassion leads to war and peace. I'm not 100% sure what the message behind that chat is, but you're basically right. I can't remember. I don't remember what book I read that in. I have a bunch of books about human evolution, and that is one of the things that anthropologists have noticed with traditional hunter-gatherer cultures. They tended to max out at 150. That's about the biggest a human group can be, where everybody like knows each other. And so the community is, I don't know how to word this, where the community is like a family, I guess. I don't know how else to word that. Because again, if you go beyond that, then the group relationships just become completely abstract. And it may be a little bit harder to maintain, because how do you expand the circle of empathy to 100,000 people when 99% of them are strangers? You know? It's hard to do that, which is why we have to have police and governments and rules and stuff, because humans are terrible people. It's Dunbar's number. I've never heard of it, or I've never heard a name for it. The cognitive limit of remembering who people are. Interesting. You know, as a teacher, most years I have to get to know about 200 students. That's a lot. It takes me forever to learn their names. Physics. Interesting phonetic spelling. What's up?
Um, so this is I've been watching for a while, like I followed you back, I want to say like when I first started watching the lives like maybe 2.5 years ago or something.
Hmm.
Or maybe like yeah, like maybe
It's been a while.
2022-ish,
I've been doing this for a
2023-ish.
while. Yeah, I don't actually
But
know exactly, but
I usually agree with you on everything, but I just wanted to press you on one slight thing because I know that you're a determinist, and I as well am a determinist. How do you believe that humans are inherently bad people while also holding determinism?
oh well, that was a joke.
Oh,
When I say humans are terrible people, that's very tongue in cheek, but it is true that um like there is a innate human nature that, because we live in extremely large complex societies, is unquestionably holding us back, right? Like
mm,
the root of racism is the innate tribalism that we all have. the you know, I'm not going to sit here and make excuses and say that colonization was like good or that the ends justify the means or something like that. But so I can fully agree with the abuses and horrors of colonization, but people pretend that like the white European was this uniquely evil entity, whereas the Maori people committed an unthinkably disgusting genocide against, I can't remember what the other tribe in it's in New Zealand. I can't remember what they're called. But that kind of thing happened all the time because any two groups of people that are neighbors that look the same are capable of looking at each other like the enemy and dehumanizing them and doing the worst kind of thing.
Hmm.
Um,
I think that living again, I don't necessarily disagree with you, and I know you're looking for opposition, but um, I think that sort of the natural globalization that occurs as a result of like the connectivity that the internet has brought in the last 20 to 30 years, I think naturally creates a more collectivist culture on a global scale. And I think, the only reason why I'm bringing this up is because I do think that, yeah, these are what you're describing is our human nature, but I do think that there's lots of things in nature that, used to be our nature, but we can grow beyond, um, or
yeah,
evolve
I
beyond
think
what it is our nature.
that the human race collectively is, or the human species, whatever, same difference, is collectively has a conscious that expands its moral circle more and more, and I do think we are better today than really we ever were. Um, and I mean that is something that I consider myself a leftist, but that is something that chronically online leftist cultural warriors or whatever really will not accept. And I just think
Hmm.
that they should read maybe one history book, and then you could try to understand the true
Yeah.
nature of human nature, which is dark. And people pretend that it's that the modern world created it, or that certain groups uniquely have are just uniquely evil or whatever. It's like, no, I mean, Genghis Khan was just as bad as Christopher Columbus was just as bad as Schmittler, you know. Maybe not quite,
Yeah. At
but
a certain
there's no
point, it's like,
the difference between like a Genghis Khan and a Schmittler is uh less than the difference between myself and him.
mhm.
People,
Yeah,
humans
yeah.
are terrible people, and it's only thanks to um kind of the stuff you were talking about, but obviously a lot more than that, that we can rescue ourselves and save ourselves from our most terrible instincts. And a complex society and education is necessary for that, because a phrase I like to say a lot is things can only control you as long as you remain ignorant about them. And yeah, I think it's no coincidence that more egalitarian societies are ones that are more pluralistic and diverse and sort of dense, like population wise as well.
Yeah, I like that. Things can only control you if you you're ignorant about them.
Yeah.
I like that because my first instinct is to say, "Oh, well, I know lots of things about myself, but that doesn't mean I'm a perfect human. Like, I know just because I know I do something wrong doesn't mean I can always change it." But then at the same time, it's like, well, if I know that I'm doing something wrong, if I have the knowledge of it, then it's really myself that's holding me back by not changing it. It's not the thing that is controlling me. I don't know. I
Yeah.
could go on a whole rant, but yeah, it looks like I don't really disagree with you. But keep up the good lives, and I'll drop down.
Sounds good. Thanks for coming around.
Mhm.
Come on over, baby. Why is this being so stupid? There we go. Okay. No guests yet again. All right, what's going on, chat? I can't believe that people aren't just trying to attack me for anything I said. Oh yeah, just look at the medieval period and the amount of torture and public executions that happened every day. Yeah, that's a good point. I have modified my views slightly of how much I regarded the average person as just being like almost like it's almost as if empathy didn't even exist until the Enlightenment. I've had a sort of bias against people in the past that is a little bit like that. But I actually learned something really interesting when I was writing my second book. I looked up statistics on capital punishment from I don't remember. I was specifically looking in the UK, and it was like around the time of Henry VIII or something like that. It was either it was in the 1600s, I believe. And what you find is they actually have data on this. The rate of I don't know what to call this. The rate at which people were given the death penalty. What you find is you can break the UK into all these districts and regions, and the per capita centered around London was vastly higher than everywhere else. Like up in Scotland, it was 10 to 20 times lower. And to me, what that says is there were some despotic, psychotic people that rose to power, and they're the ones issuing the decrees and the laws and the rules for here are all the ways that you can be executed. Like, I don't remember the number but in that time, there were like hundreds of ways you could get the death penalty. And they just had to invent crazy, stupid reasons. Like living with a gypsy. That was one of the reasons. Or maybe it was being married to one. I don't remember. But no, I think it was, just being in a house with a gypsy. You could get the death penalty for that. And like the people in Scotland, they didn't enact the death penalty with anywhere close to the same rate. Even though the laws were the same, I think what that tells us is most people can't stand doing that to another person. But the farther away you are from the center of power, the more you can get away with it, because it's not like there was less of that going on. I mean, in total numbers, maybe because the population's lower, but again, this is a per capita statistic. So, where is everyone tonight? That's a good question. Speaking of your books, how do you get a signed copy? I do still have signed copies of my second book, Facts That Aren't True. You just got to go to my Shopify page. There should be a link to it on my profile, to my Shopify page. Shaving a badger during Easter? You could get the death penalty for shaving a badger during Easter? Maybe I should get one. I can read it to my daughter. Yeah, make it a bedtime story. Read one fact that isn't true every night. That would be weird. What was that? Oh, you guys heard that? Oh, something fell. Tim Hunter, did you get doged? That sucks. The Easter badger. Well, it turns out we're just kind of hanging out today, everybody, I guess. Maybe I'll have to do a 10-hour stream just to get like 2 clippable moments. No, I was just being silly. Oh, no. So there is no Easter badger. The nut jobs usually come later in the day. Well, this is like my normal stream time. Actually, right now, 12 o'clock Pacific is traditionally when I've started them. But yeah, I don't know. I either get 5, 6 guests or 0. There's never it's either a plenty or a complete lack. Kitty Cat Peterson knocked something over. She might have. I don't know. I can't see. Oh, hell yeah. We just had an order for the book. Memorial Day weekend, people are traveling. I mean, maybe. I could just do a stream in the evening. A lot of people do late streams on TikTok. I've really never done that, but I don't know. Maybe I'll have to. Fight the Flat Earth did a 24-hour stream. That would be horrible. I'm asking Eric Glyson, how can morals be subjective but still have absolutes? Do you find it more difficult fighting flurfs since the final experiment? Do I find it more difficult? No, it's really the same crap. And I don't even use the final experiment when I talk to flat earthers. I bring it up occasionally, but no, not really. So Glyson, how can morals be subjective but still have absolutes? I mean, is that even the case? Look, if moral facts exist, then you still have the logical problem of you cannot logically deduce that I ought follow those moral facts. So there would still be an arbitration problem. It would still be completely subjective, the choice to follow them. So, I mean, that's one way. I'm not 100% sure what you meant by that, but let me reread your question. How can morals be subjective but still have absolutes? I mean, that would be one way. The other way would be if you're going to declare that God is the moral lawgiver, and so God is defined, like if by definition what God says is good, then that's still subjective because it's mind dependent. It comes from the mind of God. So Discord. Yeah, I don't know. I have a Discord, but it's not a debate Discord. We just hang out and talk about things and share information. I feel like I don't know. I don't know how to develop it into one. I guess I'd have to invite a shit ton of crazy people and then get a ton of mods to like always be monitoring it, but I'm not going to do that. I'll debate you on whether sandwiches are actually sentient beings secretly plotting to overthrow the concept of gravity. Holy shit. Yeah, we can debate that sometime. Just hit me up. I'm going to disagree, but what was that sentence? Yeah, that was a super chat that somebody sent me on YouTube. It's great. That made more sense than most of the things I hear from people. All goals are subjective, but they can be based on objective facts. Yes, like for example, if you want to win the Daytona 500, or isn't the Indy 500 is this weekend, right? The Monaco GP is this weekend too. So like, for example, if I want to win the Monaco GP, then I can say, now that's a normative goal, and morality is normative, I think. But like you can say, I cannot tell you that you ought to uh, not stab all four of your tires, but I can objectively tell you that you will not win the Monaco GP if you do that. That is something that's where you can introduce like the whiff of objectivity into it.
Hey, Peter.
No, I don't know how to say that. What's up?
Just wanted to say that you're awesome. You have a follower from Italy.
Oh, cool. A follower
Yeah.
from Italy.
Yeah.
Nice.
My name is Andrea. I've been watching you for like a year now, year and a half, and yeah, just wanted to tell you that you're awesome, and yeah,
Well,
you
thanks.
do a great job. I'm sorry you're not a teacher anymore, but yeah,
Oh, there's always
the
next
whole
season.
thing, yeah, the whole thing with the Irish guy. How did it come? How did it go after all that happened?
I mean,
Did you
it's still going on.
really?
There are aspects of it that I can't really talk about. I plan on
Okay.
going over more of it in around a month or so because there's just some stuff going on that I literally can't talk about at the moment, but I will be. So I'll give you I'll try to give everybody an update.
Okay, yeah, he's an ass. That's all. A hypocritical ass. Yeah,
He's
he's a
worse than
fucking
that,
idiot.
but yeah, you're right.
By the way, I'm a teacher too, so yeah,
All right
I
on.
just started. Yeah, I teach English, and yeah.
Very cool.
So, by the way, the analogy you use to explain evolution with languages, it's on point. It's perfect.
Yeah, I don't think there's a better analogy because everybody agrees um that languages change in that way, and that
Yeah,
is how evolution happens.
yeah.
And you can use
Overall, express that.
yeah, you can use words, sentences, letters as nucleotides and genes and sections of the genome, and it changes in the exact same way. There's no teleology, but there's a selection, and unpredictable changes gradually lead to languages becoming completely different languages, even though nobody speaks a language different than their parents did. And
Yeah,
and I would even argue that languages reproduce because somebody like invents a new word, like I don't know who came up with the word selfie or whatever, but that is everybody says it now. And that's because the language sort of reproduces in that way. It's a different kind
I
of
mean,
reproduction, but
it's not, yeah, it's not the same as a biological reproduction, but you can kind of, if there's a use for a new word, you bet you can, it's gonna spread. I mean, that's how languages change over time and reproduce in a way. But I wanted just to tell you one thing. You sometimes, when you do the analogy, you get the Latin and English mixed up. Latin is a parallel to post-Germanic, to how was it called? Proto-Germanic, and English got some words from Latin, but they actually English language got actually got them from French. They are
right.
Latin sounding words that came in English through French. So it's very complicated. But yeah, yeah. Otherwise, you're doing a really good job with that. And yeah,
Thank you
I
very
just
much.
wanted to compliment you. And yeah, you got a fan. Do you need any translation for your books in Italian?
I don't know how that would work. I mean, I am the publisher, but like it again, the book is printed
Okay.
by a
I
company.
mean,
I don't.
it's free. I'd do it for free. It's free of charge, just to do it for you if you need anything, if you need a consultation or stuff,
Well,
whatever.
that would be awesome, but I don't think it would work that way because I would have to submit a translated manuscript to the
Okay.
company, and that costs a couple $1,000, and
Fucking
it just wouldn't. I don't think it would pay off. It would be cool though.
whatever. Just wanted to say thank you for everything and have a nice day.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye. A Spanish translation maybe would, but if it was literally any other language, I don't think it would ever pay off. Do 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 do. Do 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 bim bim. Good Lord. Some dude wrote a thesis statement for a YouTube comment. Jeez. Still nobody to talk to. Why won't anybody talk to me? Big fan from the Netherlands. Thank you very much. I see a lot of enchiladas for dinner. All right. Peterson, totally off topic, but you should watch the SpaceX Starship test flight happening on Tuesday. Should be cool. I mean, I promise you I'm going to forget that, but that would be cool. Rico, what's up? Okay, Rico is gone, so I got to update this. Oh, no, not that one. All right, that is 2 for science and 0 for everybody else. All righty, righty. Undefeated. Yeah. There was actually, when that person requested up, there was actually a second request, but they dropped at the same time. So I don't know what's going on. And then TikTok did say, yeah, this live stream can't be. I don't want to restart it. Why did I get that? It's not there anymore, is it? Oh, I didn't know I could change the size of the text like that. That's actually kind of cool. There we go. Background opacity. There we go. Huh, interesting. Undefeated. That's hilarious. Thoughts on the Shroud? It's a forgery. I heard Darth Dawkins say that he thinks the Shroud of Turin is fake too. How about that? Thanks for taking down that dummy, a messenger of truth. Can't stand that guy. Yes, as today's video title explicitly... Oh, thank you for the hearts. As today's video title explicitly states, he is human garbage. Has anyone asked Darth to ground his presupposition? Perhaps they have, but they never do that. They just say, well, if you don't believe what I believe, that doesn't work. If Dawkins thinks it's fake, then it must be real. Noi, what's up?
What's up, Peter? Sin? Sorry.
Don't worry.
Yeah, all right. A big fan. I have all your books and stuff.
Oh, cool.
I want to ask because I'm on your website. I got your books and some stickers. Can you do some trucker hats?
So I would love to, but I gotta tell you, it like selling merch has actually been a huge net loss for me.
Yeah.
I kind of, I don't regret doing it, but in a way I kind of do. So like it was like a year and a half ago I started doing it, and I started with t-shirts and the Spankies. The Spankies, that's easy because I just buy them as I need them and sell them. And the books, I got those books all for free. The publisher sends me a bunch of copies for like a quality check. So then I just sell them. But the t-shirt thing, I thought that would be easy to do. And I can't believe how impossible it is to get anybody to buy a shirt. I've sold like maybe I get like 750,000 views on YouTube every month. There are some months on TikTok where I was getting 3 to 5 million views a month, and I can't get anybody to buy one shirt. It's insane. What I did was I did all this research like a year and a half ago. I started a mailing list because I didn't want to buy a huge inventory and not be able to sell it. So I started a mailing list, and people voluntarily joined it. And then I would send out surveys. Hey, would you buy a shirt? Which designs do you like? You know, so on and so forth. I even like explicitly said, do not reply or do not take this survey unless you are planning on buying one. Because that's how I figured out how much inventory to buy. I bought like $1,700 worth of t-shirts, and I've sold maybe a third of them in the year and a half since I bought them. So it was a complete loss. I maybe have come close to breaking even on them.
Right.
Because obviously I sell them for more than the cost of buying them. But it's just like, I can't believe that it's that hard to sell things. So I will not be expanding merchandise. Maybe when I get to 100,000 subscribers on YouTube, and I can figure out a kind of partnership where they just manufacture, like the manufacturing keeps up with the demand, and I don't have to actually have an inventory. I know people that do that. You make a really small commission when you do it that way, which is understandable. Then maybe that's what we'll do. But oh geez, it hasn't worked.
Yeah, I have a friend. Her name's Tasha. She owns. I don't know if you heard of. If you're familiar with skater brands, but she owns Proper Nar. It's the first Black woman-owned skateboard brand. She has like deals with like Pop Tarts, and her stuff is featured like HBO and stuff. But she talks about how like the first like 4 years she didn't make any money doing what she did because selling like clothes and skateboard decks. The decks are mostly what kept her afloat, but selling like her shirts and stuff like that stuff was very hard to sell. Just there's so much loss in it. Like it's very unless you're like an athlete, people don't really buy your merch for some reason. It's kind of it's pretty weird, but but I totally understand with you not wanting to expand. I totally get the overhead that you probably had to deal with all those shirts and stuff, but
yeah, I got a bunch of them right behind me, actually.
I would have got a shirt if they were in my size, but I'm a lard, so
yeah, that was another problem. I was like, I can't buy all these shirts in all the different sizes because that just runs the risk of so I got medium, large, and XL. Now that I think about it, I probably should have just done large, XL, XXL. That probably would have been. Well, you know what? No, I'm going to take that back because I based all of that on the survey results I got because I asked people what size they were. So I didn't get very many mediums. So I don't know. It's just, I don't know. It didn't pan out.
Right. But hopefully, you get more books. I'm excited to see what more books you come up with, and so I'm really excited to read them. I ordered them, I believe, like a few days ago. So hopefully
All right
they
on.
show up here soon. Yeah, big fan. I like seeing you on here because I'm a part of like the Globe Earth versus Flat Earth community and stuff. So seeing you go after like free or like
That kid.
I actually started calling ramen noodle hair because of you. He gets
Dollar
really
Tree
pissed
perm
off.
kid or ramen noodle hair. Yeah, either one.
He gets really pissed off when I bring up a picture of ramen noodles. He gets really pissed.
Yeah, ask him if the water on the east side of Lake Michigan is higher than the water on the west side, because he thinks it is.
Yep.
The only flat earther that doesn't think water is level.
It was funny. A couple of weeks ago, someone brought up how it's sunny on the East Coast at the same time as the West Coast. He's like, "Do you have proof of that?" I'm like, "What? Are you what?" He's like, "Yeah, I just want to see a picture of someone on the East Coast and someone on the West Coast where it's sunny at the same time." And I'm like, "Are you really arguing this, man? Like, you really want to argue if that? Like, come on, bro." So it's like he's just just a contrarian. I mostly think he's mostly into flat earth just because he's got friends, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah.
It's pretty wild, but hopefully, he comes back. Because every time I bring up your guys' debate, he gets really salty. So I feel like he might have gotten. I feel like he might have gotten some jabs from people in the flat Earth community too, because he did kind of make a fool of himself on your platform.
Could be, yeah.
Right. But just wanted to come here and say what's up. I love what you do, man, and you have a good day. Happy Memorial Weekend.
You too. Do. Sometimes you can drop ship when drop shipping, I think that's what it's called. Buys a shirt and gets expensive for the user. Yeah, is drop shipping where you make it on demand and sell it on demand kind of thing? Yeah, I mean, it would be better than what I'm currently doing, because what I'm currently doing just doesn't work. But yeah, I've kind of been promoting my book solely, my books, I guess. Weirdly, I don't know how weird it, but my second book is not selling well at all. It's weird. Rational Answers to Stupid Questions is more about what I do. And I talked about that book for like 6 months. So maybe that's why it did so much better. But yeah, Facts That Aren't True, I don't know. It's not doing all that well. But you know what? I did it because I wanted to do it, and I'm proud of it. So whatever. I guess that's good enough for me, I suppose. What's the second book about? The second book is it's about 120 popular urban legends, myths, historical misconceptions, phrases, and ideas that we all have that are just not true. And then a pretty detailed breakdown of the origin of the myth, why it's false, if there's any partial truth to it, and then sometimes it just goes into wild tangents. Drop shipping is when you... okay, we got a guest. Hello?
Oh, hello, Eric.
What's up?
Not much. What about you?
Well, you're looking at it.
I mean, yeah, I've been since like the start of the live, so yeah. So, just a quick one. I just wanted to say something. Grabbing on from that video you uploaded, was it today with that human garbage guy?
Oh yeah, Messenger of Truth. Yeah. What about it?
Yeah. Um, it's just something that I don't know if people realize, because I myself, I'm a member of the LGBTQ community. So something that people may not realize is how important it is, how at least how important it feels to me that people like you, like Professor Dave and others, like speak out and say that, yeah, that person that says that is human, is a piece of human garbage. Like, he literally tells me, for example, that I should be stoned to death. Like, no, like, you are human trash if you believe that.
Yeah.
And someone with voice to millions of people or thousands of people or whatever say that, it's really important for me at least to hear it. And I just wanted to say thanks for that. It's yeah, in a way, it means a lot.
Yeah, well, you're welcome. Yeah, I'm on your side because I'm not an idiot, and you'd have to be an idiot to to think whatever that guy says. So
I actually think you have to be more than an idiot, because a flat earther can be an idiot, someone that wants other people to die just because they were born with a different chemistry in their brain. It's like, yeah, they're not an idiot,
Well,
they are a piece of human.
he's more
I don't
than
even
an
want to call them
idiot,
human, though.
but he is an idiot. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's like an idiot plus.
Idiot plus, yeah.
Yeah, it's the new. If you put them in a tier ranking, it's at the top.
Yeah. In this case, top is
So
bad.
yeah.
But yeah.
Oh yeah, it's the worst top you can get.
Yeah.
But and the thing is with most of them, that if you confront them in a physical way, like not as in beat them up, but like face to face, if you confront them, I don't think that most of them will say the same things.
Most of them probably not, because most people don't like conflict. And for people that do stuff online, you know, as somebody that does that, a lot of what I say, I have to say it like 3 times before I get it right. And I don't express ideas at the same like if I have let me make this more simple. If I create a 20-minute YouTube video, it's very likely that it takes me 40 minutes to get all that out, because there's a lot of time that I sit there and I pause and I go, okay, what do I want to say next? It's kind of weird how that's the case, but on these TikTok lives, I can talk about topics with very little pause. That almost never happens. And I don't know. It's probably the case that I say something wrong or stupid more often, I guess, on TikTok than YouTube because of that. But yeah, that's the other thing. They're not they're not as rhetorically gifted as they come across, because that happens in the edit.
Yeah, but I'm not just speaking about that. I think that they would also like kind of cower, that they would be like, okay, I'm saying on the internet that that person should be stoned to death, but now I have this person in front of me, and I don't think they would be able to tell me that, yeah, you should be stoned to death. They would kind of be like, okay, like maybe I don't say that, or maybe they're just afraid to say it. Not all of them. Like a person like Kent Hovind wouldn't care. A person like Kent Hovind, I would probably bash his face in, because he's that bad of a person.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's I think that they are just getting that, not mask, but they use that what's it called when it's impersonal
Yeah.
advantage of the internet, that it's like they're not talking to someone, they're just talking to a camera. So it's like they say whatever kind of bullshit, and then if there is the time that they would have, quote unquote, have to say it to physically to another person, I don't think they would. I think they would just they would just not back it. They would just be like, meh. They wouldn't dare to say it, in a way.
Yeah. Very true.
But yeah, and it's even more annoying, because then why do you say it on the internet? Like, because someone else might be crazy enough to like actually go out and do that, but even though you just say it and you don't believe it.
Wait, say that again. I didn't
But
follow.
yeah, it's also no. I'm just saying that it's another curse of the internet that they don't take into account the impact they could have on another person.
Oh, right.
That they don't care that they could be doing damage in the actual world. That they say something on the internet completely impersonal, but then there is another person behind a screen that sees that video and then he's like, "Oh yeah, kill the gays. I should kill the bisexuals," and then goes out and starts killing people.
Yeah.
Even though, like,
Well,
the person that said it doesn't actually believe it,
well, they might believe it,
or
or I
wouldn't
mean,
act on it.
it could
Yeah,
be.
I mean,
it could
they
be the
wouldn't act on it.
case. It could be a case of, you know, and this is worse. You know, they say that and they don't care because to them, you know, somebody who is gay or whatever being killed, to them, they think that's the same thing as, oh, a Nazi was shot. Good, one less Nazi in the world. Like they actually think that way, probably. The equivalent of that.
That's actually true, and that's actually true. You're right. That's also worse.
So pretty despicable.
Yeah. Okay. I won't take more of your time. I just wanted to say thank you for that. I don't know. It just means a lot inside of me to know that there are people doing that. And you are actually also one of the 2 channels that I have been actively supporting with super chats and stuff. And
Oh, thank you.
there's only 2 channels on YouTube. One is like some Greek guys doing some stuff, and the other one is you. And it's for that reason.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, for more than that, to be honest, but yeah, also for that. But yeah, so have a very nice day, and maybe we'll talk again another time.
Sounds good. Do. Oh man, we're at an hour and a half, and I still haven't run into any sillies yet, and nobody's waiting. I'm gonna have to go back to the OmniChat Discord server. In fact, I'm gonna DM that person right now. Do. If I can find. Beep beep boop 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 bop bop. Could you do the Lot Ed God Spanky with a sign? Wait, what? Could you do the LOTED God Spanky with a signed Spanky Bible? Michaela, I have no idea what that means. Could you do the Lauded God Spanky with a signed Spanky? I don't know what that means. I read it 3 times. The OmniChat server, yeah, that's what it was called. Yeah, I think we'll have to do that. I got so much stuff out of that. I made a shitload of money from that too. All things considered. Oh, LIT edition. Could you do a limited edition God Spanky with a Spanky Bible? You mean like sell a Spanky plush and it comes with a Spanky Bible? I could. You know, the Spanky Bible, it's just a Google Doc that I could print. I could send that with every Spanky. That would just be something I have to remember to do. That's funny. Zoidberg, I'm not going to let that happen. Is your second book easy to read? Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the reading level for it is, but I would be really surprised if it's higher than 8th grade. It's easy to read. There's very, very little in it that's technical. It's very detailed, but, you know, anybody could get what's in it. Ah, the caffeinated Viking. Thank you very much. We have a Danish restaurant here in town. I think they only do breakfast. It's called Valhalla, and it's all Danish food, like appelskiver and Danish pancakes and what else? Krumkak, is that what it's called? It's really good. I haven't been there in like a year though, but it's really good. You Viking. Where's that guy at? You Viking, you never invaded Disneyland. That was his argument. Danish food can't be grounded using atheism? Oh, son of a bitch. Somewhere in my Discord server, there is a pinned link to the Spanky Bible. Just the crappy little one-page thing where it says, the Spanky Bible, this book is true. There, that proves it. And then you open it and it just says, things will happen. Proving that every single prophecy in the Spanky Bible has come true. But yeah, that's in my Discord somewhere. And so you can just print it yourself. And then you can have your own. Random question. What's the funniest thing a student ever challenged you to? I had a student challenge me to Mario Kart once. I have no idea. There was this one kid. His name was Alec. My very first... Oh, jeez. This fucking kid. It was my very first year teaching. And it was the very first day of school. And he said something so inappropriate. I asked him, what did you guys do this summer? And he gave me his... I'm not going to say what he said, but it was so inappropriate. I was like, yeah, get the fuck out of here. I didn't say that, but like he got kicked out on the very first day of class. And it was my first day as a teacher. And that really set the tone for the rest of the school year. He was just always trying to be miserable to everybody. And, but one time, I don't even remember what the hell happened. He did something and he got in trouble for it. And he said to me, I better not see you outside of class. And I was like, what? So I had to report that. And I was talking to the assistant principals and they were dying laughing. They're like, yeah, Alec versus Peterson, I would actually pay to see that. So that's maybe my answer. I can't remember anybody else. I've been like challenged to basketball and stuff like that before. Oh, I have a funny story about that I can tell you too, but that would maybe be my answer. Man, what's really funny is I saw that kid like a year after he graduated and he came up to me. He's like, Peterson. I was like, oh, wow. Hey, Alec, what's up? And we were just talking for a little while and he said, he's like, Peterson, did you actually hate me? And I turned and I looked at him dead in the face, and with the utmost sincerity, I said, yes. Like I said the way I said it was like, you just asked the dumbest question that's ever been asked. But like he understood that I was talking about our experience in class was very unfortunate and it kind of sucked. I wasn't telling him he's a horrible person or anything like that. I mean, he might be, I don't really know, but so that was pretty funny. Pandora's Pinata. Lies. Everything in your Shopify is sold out and you don't ship outside of the United States, you Viking. Nothing is sold out as far as I know. I still have Spankies. The only thing that did sell out were my Spanky stickers, but they shouldn't even be visible. I don't know. PP has a 4.5-inch vertical. No, it's higher than that. I used to actually be a jumping fool back in the day, but now I'm not. Anyways, oh yeah, the basketball story. Well, it's not a funny story, but like last year we had a staff versus students basketball game, and I wore my Luka Doncic jersey, and it was crazy. We were getting absolutely slaughtered. It was like 25-12 at halftime. And somehow in the second half, the students only scored 2 points. And I didn't even realize it. It was like there was like 1 minute left in the game, and I was like, wait a minute, it's tied. How the hell did this happen? So we came roaring all the way back, and then it was tied. And we had the last possession, and we went down the court, and they gave me the ball, and I pump faked, and they fell for it. They jumped, because I was talking a lot of trash leading up to this game. And I had a lot of students in my homeroom that were basketball players, and they were in the game. And it was like, it wasn't like hostile trash talk or anything. It was very friendly. But they were like every time I got the ball, they were swarming me, because they're like, I'm not letting Peterson get away with any of this, which is all fair. But yeah, I faked him out, got fouled on a 3, and they just had a running clock, so I was able to run the clock out for the game, and I made one of my free throws, and so we won. So that was a good moment. Oh, I also caught the game-winning touchdown in staff versus student flag football. So yeah, 2 victories over the students last year. Anyways, Southern Baptist Warrior, what is up?
What up?
Nothing.
Oh, yeah. Did you get destroyed by Darth Dawkins?
Definitely not.
You couldn't answer his question. What is the sum essence of all reality in your worldview?
I don't know what that means. He's never asked me that, though.
He's asked something like that.
No, not with me.
Yeah. If you're fallible, you don't have a perfect revelation. How can you explicitly say there's no ultimate reality?
Wait, isn't Darth fallible?
Yeah, but not the Bible.
How do you know that?
Because it says it.
You unironically believe that as a justification?
Yes, you have to have an infallible source of knowledge.
How do you know that your source is infallible? Well, I already asked that, because it says so, right? Well, how do you know that what it says is true?
It self-declares that it is infallible. You have to have
Okay, I self-declare that I am infallible. Now what?
I pin you against the Bible and billions of...
The Bible is false, and I know that because I'm infallible and I am making this statement. I cannot make fallible statements. Therefore, the Bible is false.
Science fixes itself all the time.
I never said anything about science. The problem I have with this, only the Christian worldview can be the grounding for, truth claims and whatever. I would say that the Christian worldview obliterates even the possibility of having any kind of objective knowledge. You can presuppose it, and what's really annoying is the way people pretend that what you presuppose is what is absolutely true. But no, the Christian worldview obliterates the possibility of any kind of objective knowledge. Do you want to know why that is?
Sure.
Okay. All you have to do is answer this one question. Can you know that the devil is deceiving you?
No.
There you go. So that obliterates the possibility of objective knowledge. You can presuppose it. I presuppose that my eyes are giving me accurate information about the world. Now, is it possible that unicorn queef dust is altering all of the photons that hit my eye and scrambling them and creating an inaccurate image of what's in front of me? Sure. But I don't find that to be a reasonable problem to assume, I guess.
But you're just as fallible as I am. So
Yeah, I think that all humans have, well, I wouldn't exactly say that all humans have the same limitations because, everybody's born, differently, unfortunately. Well, no, I would say it actually is fortunate that we're all different. But like generically speaking, I don't think any human being has any sort of real gift of a proclivity toward less infallibility than anybody else, especially not Darth.
You don't know what's at the end of the universe or before the Big Bang. You
Neither
can't
do
say
you.
there's no God. So you can't say there's no God. You don't have all knowledge.
I didn't say that there is no God. I know the Christian God doesn't exist, but a God could exist.
But you're an atheist. You say there is no God.
No, I don't say that. In fact, I literally just said that that's not the case. I don't believe that God exists, but it could be the case. I don't believe that there's an alien named Brenda, but it could be the case.
There you go. You took a falsifiable claim and you compared it to the God claim. You know they're not the same.
God's existence is unfalsifiable?
Absolutely.
That's just not even true. What if the description of God is a contradiction?
Then that's a wrong description of God. It is the sum essence of God is the sum essence of all reality.
Says
Nothing
who?
cannot exist without there a being called God.
So if every single thing we ever learned until the end of time about God, we were able to later figure out, oh, there's a contradiction, you would just say, oh, well, our definition or our description of God in every single instance has been false, but God still exists. On what grounds are you claiming that God even exists?
Existence
Or are you just saying,
itself.
by definition, there has to be a thing that exists and I call it God?
Existence itself necessitates a God.
Why?
Nothing can exist apart from one, because the universe is going towards a direction. So it needs
No, it isn't.
someone leading that direction.
The universe certainly is not going toward a direction, no.
What caused the Big Bang?
Nobody knows, but that has nothing to do with what you just said. I got to update my scoreboard real quick.
This conversation ain't over.
I know.
Why are you
But
scoring?
points are being scored. It's like a basketball game. The game isn't over when the score is 1-0.
Right. So yeah, you just haven't defined the sum essence of all reality. In your worldview, it fails.
I don't know if there is. I don't know. I could agree that there may be one, but I don't know what it is. My worldview hasn't failed. Not knowing something doesn't mean I have a failed worldview. I'm just not dishonest enough to say that I know that something that by even your own admission, it's possible we never, ever come to a coherent description of it, but I will just still declare that it exists. I'm incapable of being that dishonest.
Oh, it's not just dishonest. It's just observation.
When did you observe God?
necessitates existence, the works of God. We observe the God's works.
You don't know. You don't
Existence.
know. You don't know that because you said you can't know if you're being deceived by Satan. So you have no idea if you're observing God's works or not.
Absolutely. He can't deceive you on everything. He can deceive you on some things.
What can Satan not deceive you on?
The fact that the universe was created by a deity. That's
Explain to me,
that.
give me the logic behind how it's not possible for Satan to deceive you about that.
It's a form of natural revelation that comes to people who are
So
not
you
even
can't.
believers.
You just have to say that it was revealed to me that God did it and reject that it's possible that Satan is doing it. That's very weak.
That's not what I said.
Those are not the words you said, but that is what you said.
All right. Well, I gotta go.
No, I want you to stay.
Peace.
No. That was just terrible. Oh, jeez. Hello, Ched. Sorry, I think I talked when you spoke. What's up?
Sorry, I said, are you all right? It's a pleasure to meet you. So what exactly is the question?
There aren't any questions. There's a prompt up here, and I let the guests talk about whatever they want to talk about with respect to the topics. I mean, sometimes people want to go somewhere else, and I don't know. Depending on what it is, I'm okay with it, but...
Okay. So about the God debate, I'm violently agnostic, but
Violently?
I sort of lean
All right.
well, okay, not violently, but
I know what you mean.
yeah, so I'm on my journey trying to figure out whether God exists. Of course, even if I figure out if God exists, it's which one. But it's so my issue is things like the fine-tuning argument, the hard problem of consciousness, I think are pretty solid arguments towards a creator. What would you say against that?
I think those are just terrible arguments. The hard problem of consciousness, where does God even enter the equation for that? Like, we don't know what consciousness is, therefore God? Or we don't know how naturalism could produce consciousness, therefore it must have been from supernaturalism, i.e. God?
No, it's not that. It's more from a naturalist sort of, how do I explain it? Like, from a Newtonian cause and effect paradigm, I think consciousness is quite hard to explain. It's, from a bunch of inanimate particles being able to create a subjective conscious experience is quite hard to explain from a naturalist paradigm.
I kind of agree and disagree. I more so strongly disagree, actually. I think we know with an extreme degree of confidence that and how our subjective experience is caused through our physical brain and body. I don't think that's in question at all. And we know specifically how it can be manipulated and what kinds of damages to what regions can cause XYZ expected symptoms or results. Talking about brain damage or a stroke in a particular region. The stuff about split brain patients just absolutely dismantles. That's kind of more of a free will thing, but what it does is it very well illustrates that the subjective experience within us isn't something that you have the degree of control over that you think it does. Now, what is consciousness? Is consciousness physical? Is it made of material? What is the substance of a thought? That we don't know. But I think I don't see any problem in sort of asserting, maintaining whatever, that the subjective experience we have can be explained bottom up.
Yeah.
From the mere physical too.
I understand that. But it's more the fact that inanimate particles can give rise to a subjective experience. I think, and this is the fence that I sit on, you have to concede that that's at least curious from a point of a naturalistic cause and effect position.
It's very mysterious. I would admit that. I don't have a problem admitting that. And it kind of seems to also, it seems like it may be a kind of problem that is fundamentally not solvable. Like, what is the substance of a thought? Kind of like, was there something before this universe existed, or is there something other than this universe that exists? I think that that's just fundamentally not knowable, unfortunately. But what we don't know, the problem with this kind of argument from ignorance is we say we don't know. And then to insert God in there is just betraying what you just said, which is we don't know. What people do is
God of the gaps.
Yeah, in a particular kind of way, people pretend that the people, like, we don't know, but it's like a puzzle piece. We have no idea, but people pretend like they know the shape of that puzzle piece, and they know what shape God as a puzzle piece is, and so it fits there. And it's like, no, we have no freaking idea what this God is like in any kind of way. And we don't know, first of all, we don't know that this won't just be solved later by some sort of naturalistic explanation.
That's
but
true.
we certainly don't know what shape a supernatural puzzle piece even is, or what piece or what shape a God piece even is. So I just find that to all be it's not compelling in any sort of way to me. It's just God of the gaps. And then I have a video about fine tuning on my YouTube channel where I go over like 6, 7, 8 different specific problems with it. I mean, I'm happy to go over some of them if you want to, but I think fine tuning might be the best argument because it's really hard. A layperson has no idea what to think or say in response to it, but it's the kind of thing where even somebody like me can understand that it's very weak, and so I still think it's a terrible argument.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that it has its rebuttals. I think fine-tuning for me was the most solid argument, purely because I think there is some...
There are I want to interrupt you, because there are a lot of angles to fine-tuning, which is why there are so many rebuttals to it. So what like angle or what thing that fine-tuning accounts for do you think that makes it compelling?
Well, it's more that there's physical constants of the universe, for example, the gravitational constant or the strong and weak nuclear force, that if they were a fraction different than the universe, stars, for example, wouldn't have been able to be formed, therefore life wouldn't able to be formed. And I understand, by the way, as Christopher Hitchens said, you look around, the universe clearly isn't finely tuned for life. You know, eventually the sun is going to get so big that it will destroy Earth, and you know, so where's the fine tuning in that we're all going to get destroyed and it's some cosmic fucking apocalypse? But yeah, I understand. And by the way, sorry, this is why I say
the argument typically goes, it's not that the universe is finely tuned for life and therefore life should be ubiquitous and everywhere. What they'll typically say is the universe is finely tuned to allow for sentient, intelligent life to exist, and that cries out for an explanation. But so there are multiple problems with that. First of all, if we can imagine that a universe without God can exist, then a universe where God doesn't exist and there are conscious creatures making observations, they can only conclude that the universe is tuned for them to be making observations. That's just the anthropic principle. So it's a puddle thinking that it's a miracle that the pothole is shaped like it. It can only be shaped like that. Yeah, that's one problem. Another serious problem with this is, while it's true that if you change, well, what we've actually found out is some of the constants appear to be finely tuned, but Sean Carroll talks about this, and I don't remember how he puts it, but originally there was this sort of backhand calculation that was done that said a particular constant was finely tuned to an extraordinary degree. But then what he found out was actually when you take a look at this constant, he said that the math turns out to be the number you get is 1. And it was sort of like it's actually inevitable that that constant has that value. So it doesn't cry out for a special explanation for that value to have what it does. It just manifests that way. And I don't know if that's because of its interaction with other constants or what. Like I said, I don't remember for that one.
So the reality is that there are physical constants
Yes.
of the universe that if they were tweaked in a different way, the things that we know to be today wouldn't have been allowed to exist if they were tweaked any certain way.
Yeah, so there's two different angles for fine tuning with respect to that. You can either say they're finely tuned for intelligent life, or they're finely tuned to allow complex matter to exist. And there's two different things there. So it's whether or not, because one of those implications can give you an argument that therefore there's a God that wants to have a personal relationship with sentient beings. The other one is to allow the universe to kind of exist at all, because, you know, if some of those constants were any different, the universe would just collapse in on itself and no complex materials would exist or whatever. And in both of those cases, you're just assuming the mind of God. If God is perfect, then a universe that can only be made of fundamental particles that can never coalesce to form complex matter would be what that God wants by definition, because the God is perfect. So it's
that's my I don't believe in a perfect God. I think I've through basically a process of elimination, I've come to the conclusion that God exists, but he cannot be omnibenevolent or omnipotent.
Sure.
Because, you know, you look around and you see that this cannot be works of an omnibenevolent God. And if he's omnibenevolent, then he can't be omnipotent. The problem of suffering, so on and so forth. But I think there is, for example, DNA, genetics, why something rather than nothing in itself, I think is a pretty solid argument for the existence of a creator. I think people just, science-orientated naturalist people are quite... they don't like the idea of a creator, but I just don't think it's... I think when you look at the nature of just existence, consciousness, us being... I think it shouldn't be so fringe, so outlandish to say that maybe this is just a, not say like simulation, maybe it could be, but maybe this is just I don't know how to say it. How would you say it?
I don't know what you're talking about. How would I say what?
No, I'm saying I don't know what I'm talking about, brother. I don't know what I'm talking about.
That's fine. There's more stuff about fine tuning I was going to talk about, but I'm just going to go back to that because I don't know what else to say either. But those constants, one of the problems with that is the way that's couched to us is if any one of the constants was slightly different, things would collapse. Well, sure, but we don't know all the different permutations of the constants where they could all vary and things would a universe that looks like ours could still exist. We don't know what that is at all.
You don't have to have a different universe to know that if there's certain variables for a constant, that if it could be any other way.
So this gives us multiverse, which seems kind of like a cop-out answer. But multiverse is not a response to theistic arguments. Multiverse was born out of looking at the math equations and understanding that a multiverse might happen. And there's this concept of bubble universes where multiverse doesn't mean a bunch of parallel universes. It means beyond our visible horizon for the visible universe. If I teleported you to so many light years away where you're outside of the observable universe here, you could be in a pocket of the universe where the constants are different. There's literally no problem with that. And if the universe is infinite, which it appears to be, then there's absolutely no problem with fine-tuning whatsoever. So it just naturalistically does away with the necessity for a god to have created everything.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Yeah.
I don't really have a rebuttal to that.
The thing about simulation, because I mean, you could just say, I used to do this. I used to say, look, any argument for like the universe having the properties that it does, and that screaming for God as an explanation, I always said that I think that is a better argument for simulation theory over God, because we at least know that simulations exist. We make very unsophisticated, weak simulations all the time. Oh, he's gone. I don't know what happened. But we make very weak simulations all the time. And I don't need to invoke a suspension or a violation of the laws of physics for that to be an explanation. And then Dr. Blitz absolutely ruined my life because he created a video where he went over a paper that apparently somebody went over the computational power it would take to simulate a universe, even at low resolutions, and even with a quantum computer, you need something like multiple black holes. What was it? Black holes? I want to say he said black holes, but that doesn't really make any sense to me. But it was like you would need to consume the energy output of multiple stars to do even the crappiest simulation. So simulation theory has effectively, it looks like, been scientifically demonstrated to be, at least for the universe we have, the computational power required for it completely breaks the laws of physics. So it's out. And that pisses me off so much because now I can't use that argument. Thanks, Blitz. Jerk. To simulate our universe, we would need a power greater than our universe. Yeah, basically. Anyways, sorry, I had to look at my phone. Thoughts on Rocco's basilisk? I've looked that up like 3 times and I always forget what it is. But what if the energy levels and scales we have in our universe are really low in comparison with the universe that's simulating us? Maybe that's a way you can skirt around it, but I don't know. Intuitively, this is a question for Blitz, but intuitively, to me, the problem with that would be, well, then you'd have to imagine a universe with a different set of the laws of physics, which would just be, I don't know. Then you're just, I don't know. I mean, even that sounds, I guess, more reasonable than imagining a God exists, because we have no idea what the hell a God is. And a God is subject to absolutely no laws of physics whatsoever. They don't describe God in any way. So different laws of physics, more reasonable than something that is completely outside natural law. Yeah. Maybe I can still maintain simulation theory for that reason. Well, everybody, I think that's probably going to do it for today. Or at least for now. We've been live for 2 hours, so that's about all I can do at one point. I'm going to start to get massive brain fog if I sit here too much longer, because I haven't eaten yet today. And last time that actually that did give me problems last time. Mm-hmm. Pretty much no opposition. Yes, Eric spelled the wrong way. You are correct. That is the problem. You do look slightly pale. That's because this webcam just isn't very good. Although this might, I don't know, maybe that is what I look like. No, that is pretty close. I mean, I looked into my genetics. I'm like 50% Scandinavian and then 50% like British Isles and other Northern European. So like I am, without being a ginger, I'm as pale as they come. My parents were a glass of milk and a slice of Wonder Bread. So maybe that's why I look, maybe it's not the camera. Maybe it's me. You are a Viking. Yes. Truer words have never been spoken. All right, TikTok. I will see you later. Tomorrow for sure. Hello, YouTube. Infinite YouTube for a moment. All right. Chat, what is happening? I'll address some chat comments for a minute here before taking off. I glow in the dark. More games? That's definitely a possibility for today. I don't have anything going on, I don't think. I do need to eat. Chat, what are we doing? Well, you said us, but yeah, chat, what are we doing? If you had to be any other animal besides a human, what would you be? Here's the thing about being an animal. The odds of you dying a horrific death are so high that you'd probably just rather kill yourself instantly or just not be an animal. So I try to think of like, okay, what gives me the lowest odds? And I think to myself, orca? Is orca the most OP animal in the world? It might be. But living in the ocean would just be so boring to me, and it's cold. So then I think like maybe I'd rather be like a hawk, you know, something that doesn't have predators, and like being able to fly would be so fucking badass, you know? Like if I could have any power, it would probably be to fly or super strength. It'd be hard to pick. So I don't know. I'm tempted to say some kind of eagle or hawk, I guess. A tardigrade? No, I don't want to live. I don't want to be microscopic. That would be so boring. God is an informational hazard? I have no idea what you mean by that. What games do you usually play? Ah. For the last couple months, the games I play the most are Helldivers 2 and Arma 3. But I'm going to start getting into Space Marine 2 and maybe a little bit of Hell Let Loose as well. But if you're an orca, you wouldn't notice the cold. Maybe. All right, I'm going to go, everybody. Thanks for being here. I'll see you tomorrow, maybe later today for a gaming stream.